Hello and welcome to the Year 11 Virtual Information event. My name is Mr. Bolter. I am the Associate Senior Leader and also the Line Manager of Year 11. Now ordinarily we would have liked to host this evening at school in the main hall, but unfortunately that is just not possible at the moment. So we have put together some of the key messages we would have shared with you that evening into this video. After watching this video, please make sure you also look at the study skills video prepared by Miss Paris, the head of Year 11. To help you support your son through his final year at Hurstmere School. In this video, we'll be covering the following areas. Some of the key dates for this academic year, including the GCSE results day next summer, our arrangements for examinations throughout the year, how we will be letting you know about your son's progress throughout the year, as well as the arrangements for some of the catch-up and revision work that we will undertake during the course of Year 11. There will also be some information about next steps and post-16 options after your son's life at Hurstmere. So on this slide here you can see some of the key dates for this academic year. Now obviously the most important focus for us all is the GCSE examinations at the end of Year 11. And the majority of our work this year is all geared around preparing your son for those exams, both in terms of covering the examination content and developing study skills and good exam habits. And as you can see, there will be revision sessions and revision events run during the October half term, as well as the Easter holidays. You can also see the dates of our PPE or mock exam series. And we also run an event known as Maximise Your Potential, which will help the pupils with revision techniques, study skills, and coping with exam stress. This year, that event will be running in the spring term. You can also see the dates when the GCSE exams are currently expected to start and the expected date of the GCSE results being published. Now, according to guidance from the DFE published on the 12th of October, the GCSE exams have been moved and they will begin roughly 3 weeks later than they would ordinarily. The date for them to start is currently scheduled for Monday the 7th of June. And they are expected to be completed by Friday the 2nd of July. There will also be one English and one Maths exam before the half term in June for pupils who are affected by COVID, so that they can still sit an exam in these two core subjects. The government is also currently consulting on a range of contingency plans for schools and individuals whose learning has been and may be disrupted by COVID during this academic year. They plan to release details of these arrangements later on in the autumn. Now the exams are being moved back to allow more teaching time for all of the subjects. There have also been some changes made to some subjects, either by removing some subject content or making changes to assessment arrangements. Your sons have already started to be informed of these in class, and you will be notified of these in a separate communication. You will also notice from this slide that the results day for Year 11 has been provisionally scheduled for Thursday the 26th of August 2021, which is 1 week later than normal, again to allow more time for the later exams to be properly marked. Now obviously to help your son prepare for these exams in the summer, we will of course be holding a series of PPE exams this year. These exams were traditionally known as mock exams, but now at Hurstmere we call them PPEs or Prepublic Exams. The first round of PPEs will begin after half term and will continue until January. This year they are taking place over a longer period of time than usual to allow our different subject departments to make sure that they have covered the required content. Due to our COVID restrictions currently in place, it's not possible to hold all of the exams in the traditional examination venues, such as the hall or our old gym. However, the English, Maths and Science exams will take place in these venues, whilst all other subjects will be taking place in subject classrooms. Because of our 2-hour lessons, it is possible for us to do this, and all access arrangements that pupils have will be in place regardless of whether the exam is in the classroom or one of our larger venues. As soon as the results for these exams are available, they will be shared with pupils. And once all exams are complete, you will get a formal record of his results. The reason for sharing these results as soon as possible is so that pupils can use it to work on the gaps in their knowledge and their exam techniques straight away. It's really important that he treats these exams as seriously as the real exams. There will also be a second round of PPEs done in class towards the end of the spring term. Now, although the current plan is for exams to go ahead next summer, the ever-changing situation regarding COVID means I would be remiss if I were not to say that there is a chance that we may need to utilise some form of centre-assessed grades next summer. We unfortunately do not know what the next 9 or 10 months will bring. If schools are forced to close or large numbers of year groups across the country must continuously self-isolate, it will become harder and harder to justify a normal examination season. With that in mind, it's very important that pupils are aware that these examinations must be treated as if they were the real thing. The notions of these being mocks or not the real thing must be put out of people's minds. If we have to fall back on using centre-assessed grades again, then it's highly likely that the PPEs will form a key component, perhaps even a central component, of any rationale for determining the grades. Now, in order to keep you abreast of how your children are doing this academic year, you're going to receive regular updates on your son and his progress. You will receive 4 tracking reports throughout the year, and hopefully by the time you've watched this, you should have received, or you will shortly be receiving, his first tracking report. Each tracking report will detail your son's classwork, homework, his attitude to learning, and his current attainment. Because of the impact of schools closing, it's highly likely that your son's current attainment may be lower now than it was back in March, or lower than his current expected grade. But it's important to remember that this current attainment reflects where he currently is and how he is currently performing. It is not an estimated or expected grade. Our job together is to work to raise the current attainment of our pupils in line with or higher than his target grades. Initially, we will not be reporting on expected grades, but we'll be using the current attainment to set your son targets so that he can improve his current attainment to meet his target grades. In the first tracking report you receive, teachers have also included a number of key topics that should form the basis of your son's revision. He should focus on these first, but please note that these are not the only topics that we expect him to revise, but merely the ones that we would like him to tackle first. Whilst we are talking about revision and catch-up work, I think it's really important to let you know what that has involved so far and what it will involve from now on. Since September, all teachers have incorporated catch-up work into their planning, and our work since September has largely been around ensuring that pupils do not have significant gaps in their knowledge left over from the period when they weren't in school. This, of course, is an ongoing piece of work, however, and will last throughout the year. It's not over by September or October. To supplement the work done in class, we are already utilising our Wednesday afternoon co-curriculum time to provide additional catch-up work in a range of subjects. All pupils in their tutor time will use it to do catch-up work in one of their other subjects. We will rotate groups around again in January so that they get a range of subjects. More catch-up and revision work will begin after school from January. This will take place after school, and a timetable of sessions will be made available to you. We also hope to commence one-to-one and small group tuition with selected groups of boys once we have received the government's catch-up funding. Of course, catch-up work overlaps very heavily with revision, and from January onwards these two terms will probably be quite interchangeable. It is really important that your son understands the importance and necessity of revision in Year 11. This must be a continuous and reflective process. He cannot simply leave revision until the last minute, until the summer term, and then expect to absorb all of the information that he needs for the exams. This will be simply too late. He should, from now, be regularly building in time for revision into his weekly schedule, little and often, here and there, so that he is consistently building up a bank of knowledge in his subjects, which will allow him to do the very best he can in his exams next summer. He will, of course, have lots of opportunity to revise at school, but he must supplement this with his own independent study. This is not just, of course, for his exams, but as he moves on to sixth forms and colleges, independent study will form an even greater part of his learning. Now, to help him revise, we fortunately have a number of resources to help him do this. Our Office 365 provision has a dedicated area known as SharePoint, where he can access revision materials. It can be found on SharePoint in the Year 11 area of Student Resources. Here he can find workbooks for each of his subjects, revision templates, and also guides if he is considering studying these subjects at A-level or beyond. Also on this page he can access departmental resources for each of his subjects easily and quickly. His class teachers may also upload revision materials to his class area on Microsoft Teams. So it is really important that your son knows how to navigate and use this resource. We also have a fantastic resource called CCS Pod, which contains short 5-minute videos for all topics for all of his subjects. Your son is already signed up and hopefully he's already using it. All he needs to do is keep using it if he's already signed up. If he isn't, then he simply needs to go to the login section of the website and set himself up. Teachers can keep track of how many videos he has watched, and it's a great way to catch up on key topics in short chunks. If you would like to know more about how you can support your son using CCS Pod, then please consult the Parents Guide, which you should find in the same folder as this video. I really can't emphasize enough just how good a resource CCS Pod is, and I hope to see lots of Year 11s using it over the course of the next academic year. Many of your son's subject teachers also make use of Seneca Learning. You can see the website on the screen now. On Seneca Learning, they can set assignments and set tasks for revision. However, pupils do not need to wait to be instructed by their teacher to use this. They can join up on their own independently, and it is completely free. The online activities and information help to aid their revision. There are short quizzes and tests to test their knowledge, and Seneca Learning will refine the information that it gives to your son based on how he performs in the test. There is also a premium version which you may wish to investigate, but as I said, the free version offers short revision activities and quizzes in all the main subjects. Seneca Learning has proven to be a really popular and effective resource with previous year groups, and again I highly recommend that your son is using it. Of course, another key focus this year is for your son to think about and plan their life after they leave Hurstmere. This goes hand in hand with his GCSE examinations, and of course his results in his GCSE exams will go a long way to determining the routes and options that are available to him. All sixth form institutions have their own entry criteria, but as a general rule, the minimum entry requirements are 4 to 5 GCSEs at grade 4 to 5, right up to 52 points in the best 8 GCSEs for entry into the most selective grammar schools. For any sixth form, it is almost certain that they will require standard or strong passes in English and maths. Also, please note that it is now a requirement that all young people must stay in education until their 18th birthday. And it is also government policy that any pupil who fails to secure a grade 4 in English and maths will be required to continue studying English and maths at any sixth form institution until they pass a functional skills level 2 qualification or achieve a grade 4 in the GCSE. And again, that emphasises just how important it is that your son secures his grade 4s in English and maths whilst he's still at Hurstmere. Now, of course, deciding what to do is really challenging, and at this point it is absolutely okay if your son doesn't know what he wants to do at this stage of his life. If pupils do have an idea, then great, but for those who don't, then it is worth thinking about the following things. What does your son enjoy? What is he good at? Does he have a particular interest in learning something new? Where will a particular course lead him to? And does he have a specific career or interest in mind? Those are some questions to just start the conversation. But the most important thing is for your son to explore what is out there, what interests them and what they might want to do when they're older. It's entirely possible that they don't know what they want to do just because they haven't found out yet. As my sixth form tutor told me many years ago, you're going to spend a large percentage of your life at work, so it helps to find something you enjoy. So this stage of their life is really important because they need to know what's out there and they need to find something they think they can see themselves doing for a large portion of the rest of their life. So again, to help you and your son, we have a number of resources. Your son can use the website Fast Tomato using the sign up code on the screen. This website can help your son to start thinking about and planning for life beyond Hurstmere. It will give him information about courses and careers that are out there. Whilst he's in school, most students in Year 11 will have an interview with a careers advisor. We will also cover life beyond Hurstmere, applying for colleges in sixth forms, writing CVs in citizenship and form time. And we also hope to have a special assembly, which this year may have to be virtual, from the head of Blackfen's sixth form. Now, in terms of the potential routes for further study, there are really three main branches. The first one is the academic branch, and this is for pupils who would be thinking of going to university. For those pupils, they'll be looking at the academic route. The academic route will most commonly involve A-levels, possibly applied general qualifications, or something called the International Baccalaureate. And many of the local grammar sixth forms may offer the International Baccalaureate. For those who feel that the academic route is not for them, there is also the technical route. And this route may suit students who want to enter work at the age of 18 and not go to university. The tech levels or T-level qualifications are brand new qualifications for 2020. And although these are qualifications designed for people who want to enter work at the age of 18, they do still count towards university applications. The third route is the work-based route, and these are for pupils who probably want to learn a skill or a trade on the job. And the work-based route will most commonly involve apprenticeships or traineeships. Now, whichever of the routes your son is thinking of taking, and it's possible that he may be looking at 2 out of the 3 routes at any one time, then again, I'd like to direct you to a number of resources which will help him. For those thinking of going to university, then I would recommend to going to this website. That's www.informedchoices.ac.uk. This is a website which focuses on students going to university, but it helps students who are at your son's age, Year 11 age, so those who still have a step to go before university. So it advises them on which courses to study and then which subjects at university that will potentially open up for them. For those students who are thinking of a technical route and are thinking of T-levels, then this government website can help you learn more about the T-levels. Now, of course, these are brand new, but a couple of features of T-levels that I think is worth mentioning is that they often contain a work-based placement. So they generally have a split of 80% classroom-based learning and 20% work-based learning. They are also equivalent to 3 A-levels. So I recommend checking out that website if your son is interested in T-levels. And finally, this is the government website if you want to look into or are considering an apprenticeship. That's www.findapprenticeships.service.gov.uk. On this website, you can search for what apprenticeships are available and find details on how to apply for them. Of course, after working out what to study, an equally important question is to think about where to study. Now, fortunately, because of where we are, there is lots of choice in the local area. If A-levels are what your son is interested in, then you'll need to look at the following sixth forms. All of them will have different application criteria and deadlines, so it's really important that you check carefully their websites and their admission information. Much of their admission events and open events again will be virtual, so it's really important you go on their websites early to find out exactly what they are offering and when. For technical qualifications, then you may be looking at one of the sixth form colleges, which you can see on the screen at the moment. Again, I would really emphasise that you must check their admissions details and their admissions information really carefully. It's entirely possible that all of the sixth forms, schools and colleges will have their separate admissions details, separate admissions criteria and separate admissions dates. So please don't assume that they are all similar. What to do if your son is unsure and continues to be unsure? Well, I can guarantee you that at some point when you ask your son what he might want to do when he leaves Hurstmere, he will, on at least one day, say, "I'm not sure." Firstly, please don't panic if he says this. Lots of young people are not sure. It is actually more rare for a young person at this age to know what they want to do than to not know. If he's not sure, then the most important thing that you can do is to try and reassure him that it's okay that he's not sure, but encourage him to be proactive and investigate. As I said earlier, he probably doesn't know what he wants to do because he doesn't know what is out there. So he's got to get online. He's got to get researching, and he's got to try and attend as many open events, even if they're virtual, as possible. The more preparation and applications that your son does, the better chance he has at securing a place in a chosen sixth form or college. If he is not sure what he wants to do for a career or a job, then further study at the correct level will always improve his life chances whilst he decides on a career path. And again, please allow me one last time to re-emphasise, always check the deadlines for applications as they will vary from institution to institution. That brings us to the end of my section of the virtual information event for Year 11. I hope that you have found it informative and useful. Obviously it is not ideal, and we would much prefer to have had you all in the hall where we could have done a much more interactive session and you'd have been able to ask lots of questions. If this were the traditional event, this would have been the point of the evening when we would have asked you if you had any questions. Obviously we can't do that in the traditional way, but if you do have questions, then please email me at the address on screen and mark your email FAO Mr. Bolter Year 11 Parent Information Evening. Please remember that in order to secure the very best outcomes for your son, both academically and pastorally, it is really important that we all work together. Year 11 is a very challenging time in any circumstance, but the situation regarding COVID has added an extra level of pressure. And for pupils in Year 11 in particular, I feel they are the ones that have been hit the hardest by the schools closing. So it's really important that we continue to work together to support your son right through to the end of the academic year. I'd like to thank you all for watching and for the continued support you give to Hurstmere School. And I'd like to extend my best wishes to you and your family. Thank you very much. Goodbye.